Get you a man who calls their junk Mr. Tippy. They just deadass use League of Legends to emphasize that he's cringe. Common sense. Intelligence? Ah! To combine together, they make a functional human being. Ah! Hell yeah! We love gilfs! We love gilfs! And girls kissing. Wow, all the times to pause. So no head. Hello there, YouTube. Welcome back to the Slop channel. And today we're going to be having a good old throwdown showdown between some of our favorite animes by watching a epic death battle video, constraining of reminding us that even if we have our favorite anime character, someone out there will pit them against your other favorite anime character, making you have a questionable decision on who you should actually keep as mummy's special little boy. So with that, let's sit back and watch this newest death battle. Alrighty, let's get into the death battle. So, I actually quite like both of these characters because I think they're actually the best thing about their respective shows. Let's face it, My Hero Academia, I don't give a crap about the heroes. Jujutsu Kaisen, the good guys are kind of basic. The bad guys, however, Mr. I don't know what gender I am today versus Mr. Handsy Man. This kind of demonstrates to me that the more interesting part about most of these animes are the villains. Either that, or I have Stockholm Syndrome, and I just have an insatiable desire to be around people that I think I can fix, or better yet, make worse. Why would fix when make worse? Make worse better. Definitely make worse. I like them unhinged and crazy.
Shigaraki versus Mahito.
This is going to be an interesting showdown. My prediction is that my prediction is Shigaraki wins.
Weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win.
Oh damn! And the animation style looks killer.
Tenko Shimura was just a sweet, shy boy who loved.
I mean, if they really wanted to make this a challenge, they shouldn't challenge each other on how much of a fighting prowess they have. They should challenge each other to see who has the most traumatic background. Because, let's face it, neither of these two would win because I would because I'm British. No one has more traumatic background than someone born in England.
Superheroes.
Because England!
The hand of fate can't abide sweet shy boys.
Ruthlessly beaten and abused by his hero-hating father, Tenko pushed beyond his emotional limits until he activated his inherent superpower, or...
God, I feel like this is like the sentiments to why villains tend to be more interesting in these anime. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me that, like, Deku is such a basic bitch character.
Tenko wandered the streets alone.
Like, these animes make villains look way more interesting.
Anyone to help him. If only a hero was there to save him. But instead,
hey, Quinn, thank you for the hand as a stream.
He found belonged to the devil.
All for one. The greatest supervillain in history.
He took Tenko under his wing.
Maybe the greatest villain, but not the best written.
Everything, and grooming him to one day lead his league of villains in destroying hero society.
With that came a new name, Tomura Shigaraki, and an absolutely nightmarish quirk.
Oh God, do you just sit there and think to yourself sometimes, gee, as a villain, I need to make my subordinates look the most imposing possible. I know! Let's strap a bunch of decomposing hands all over the kid!
Hey, it does what it says on the tin. Anything Shiggy touches with all 5 fingers turns to dust. The perfect power for someone who just wants to destroy. Pretty menacing, if not for that dorky-ass costume.
That's what I'm saying.
Thing, but come on.
I don't know. I wouldn't know whether to be
those aren't
threatened by this kind of kid or wonder whether I'd die of laughter.
That he killed, attached to his face, and explicitly commanded to be left there by his mentor so that he would never forget his rage.
Okay.
So angry.
His use of decay started off relatively weak. It rapidly increased in power and range as Shigaraki came into his own.
Decay isn't even limited to whatever he's touching. Anything that touches something he's decaying also decays.
See, I want to say, this is why I think Shigaraki's probably going to win this one. It's like, how do you stop something that is inevitable? Shigaraki, Mahito can definitely respawn and stuff, but
from an enormous tower
I don't think that's going to be much of a challenge for Shigaraki as long as you can touch him.
Your only hope is to isolate the body part that is disintegrating before it gets to something vital.
After years of training with the greatest supervillain of all time, Shigaraki was finally put in charge of his own team with one mission. He must kill his master.
Actually, to be fair, having been watching Alicia watching One Piece recently, you want the depiction of amazing villain characters? Watch One Piece. Most modern shonen animes like this they have some good character designs, don't get me wrong, and there's some really interesting characters. You want the depiction of most crack-headed, sporadically weird and wild and quirky characters? Watch you One Piece. I had never fully watched One Piece until like kind of catching what Alicia had been watching. It had legitimately made me realize how great the character designs were.
Rival, the #1 hero, All Might.
Only to fall flat on his face.
Shigaraki was a terrible leader, quick-tempered, short-sighted, and, well...
Cringe! Oh, he's just so cringe. He
So
uses
edgy.
gamer lingo
Wait, did they just...
unironically.
Wait a minute. Did they just dead ass...
Gamer
Wait.
lingo unironically. He was
Wait.
Short-sighted, and, well...
cringe.
They just dead ass used League of Legends to emphasize these cringe? I mean, based and true.
Oh, he's just so cringe. He uses gamer lingo unironically. He whines like a baby when things don't go his way. He's the kind of guy.
Oh
who would
no,
say
he's like the
normies in
average
real
kind of
life in
troll
front of
you've run into it.
normies, but they
You know,
say
he's the
defeat.
kind of dude that when you're losing in a League of Legends round, starts spouting the N-word and profanities and you can tell is like smashing their keyboard across the desk because of how many letters they're putting into their text.
Is the greatest teacher of all. Only
They want you to say to me a little
did
shit.
Shigaraki manifests his dark conviction.
Oh, wait a minute. Shigaraki is basically an allegory for ninja. Oh, that makes so much sense now.
As All Might's new protege, Izuku Midoriya, was coming into his own as well.
These two rivals, the inheritors of their master's blood feud, would push themselves past their own limitations.
Especially when All Might and All
Guys,
For
I'm gonna be honest. And please tell me if I'm fucking wrong here. I think like Demon Slayer and My Hero Academia, story-wise, are very overrated. Their animation and like action scenes, top-notch. But the stories in them are so basic. Although I do believe that's more of a connotation to anime in general at the moment, but hey.
One double KO'd each other, leaving Shigaraki to lead the League of Villains all by himself.
And with the stakes higher than ever before, Shigaraki stepped up. He personally battled the monstrous Gigantomachia for a month and a half straight.
Wait, did you know that we have a Discord and a Twitch? No? Well, now you do. So what are you waiting for? Why don't you click those little links over there and be part of the fun? Just like the rest of us cool kids, you know what I'm saying?
And conquered other villain organizations to
Damn,
create the
just like me
Paranormal
fighting my,
Liberation
my
Front.
mental woes.
Thousands of new soldiers for his personal army.
All to impress All For One's
Oh my god, it's Dr. Robotnik!
Dr. Ujiko, who spent months upgrading Shigaraki's body to make it more like his sensei's. It might have been constant agony, but Shiggy went from Chud to Chad.
Ujiko's experimentation
So what I'm saying, I don't want to fix them, I want to make them worse. They're hotter when they're worse. The more
vastly
unhinged, the better.
increased Shigaraki's strength, speed, and durability, enough to match and surpass even All Might's absurd power.
Sharing All Might's power between them, Deku and Bakugo were able to punch an island-sized hole in a cloud that reached 24 miles into the sky. We've calculated that before
Oh.
to be nearly 80 million megatons of TNT, almost as much as the meteor that wiped out the dinosaurs.
I feel like I'm gonna have to
Shigaraki can
watch
now
that
move
one.
fast enough that his body produces hypersonic shockwaves and can even catch laser beams.
And he's tough enough to survive Star and Stripes Intercontinental Ballistic Cruise Punch. Now the new name for my penis. Move over, gigantic Omega Storm. Anyway, it also made...
Oh god, that gave me a flashback I didn't need to remember. Little story. I once had interactions with a man who called their manhood Mr. Tippy. And if you ever want to get turned off quicker in your life than anything, yeah, get you a man who calls their junk Mr. Tippy.
made a blast so big it showed him against the curvature of the earth.
Though he might seem invincible, when
Mr.
Shigaraki's body is
Tippy.
pushed hard enough, he will evolve into a state of uncontrollable power.
So Decay became... Oh shit!
Oh god, okay.
More hands.
Shigaraki can spontaneously
Okay.
generate
Listen,
flesh
hey, I don't mean to like be a degenerate here, but I think Bunny Girl there might have been the main reason I started watching My Hero Academia. Something about muscly waifus, just
More
peak
hands.
design.
Shigaraki can spontaneously generate flesh into existence, seemingly oceans of it in an
Hey, Ocean.
instant, whenever he wants. He can even use it as a type of armor to defend himself in close combat.
But that's nothing compared to Ujiko's greatest gift. Shigaraki wanted to be the new All-for-One, so what better way than the old man's quirk?
All-for-One's quirk, All-for-One, allows its user to steal and store
Oh,
quirks with just
interesting.
a touch.
And All-for-One has hundreds of them stored up.
See, I've never
over
actually
the
watched
years.
this far into
Each
the anime,
quirk
so this is
connected
spoilers for
to a
me.
memory of its user's essence in the form of a spirit.
Oh man, dude, this is actually starting to get to a point where I feel like My Hero Academia kind of went down the Dragon Ball Z route of just power creep. Like, I get that you can constrain character development to power upgrading, but I think there's a better way of doing it where rather than upgrading, maybe side grading, because then you deal with the issue that Dragon Ball Z has where it becomes infinitely harder to find interesting because you don't know where that ceiling is, and eventually you get to that level of like intergalactic, super mega galaxy destroying bullshit, and it's like, well, shit, what would have happened if any of this happened in a different order, you know? Like, it's so convenient this happens in this order to be able to match the power creep they have.
Stitch.
Kinda like a piece of their soul. They exist in this kind of
Yeah, I prefer it when it's more grounded, when you are worrying about the kung fu and their skill rather than how high their power level is.
Body and can even act as a spiritual defense should it be invaded.
I don't think My
And
Hero
with those
Academia was
vestiges
as
came
bad as Dragon Ball Z with
quirks
that,
like
but I
super
can see,
fast
I definitely
healing,
felt it was going in that
radio
direction.
waves, flight, telekinesis, teleportation of others, and the ability to track foes.
He can even combine multiple.
In fact, it's a better comparison to make would be like Superman syndrome, where enemies and villains suffer with the issue as well, where they're so powerful and so perfect that if no one else can compare to them, it becomes very hard to like grasp, if that makes sense. Like, if they are all that powerful, and I guess that I know that like Superman has that sentiment. I know that like some of the characters in My Hero Academia are kind of meant to be reflective of that. It's kind of why I like Jujutsu Kaisen more, because it's not necessarily power levels they're doing. Jujutsu Kaisen is basically a modern Naruto, and it's more about the kung fu and magic they're learning as opposed to how powerful they are.
Works together.
I think like a lot of shonen animes are guilty of that in general.
However, any vestige stolen or destroyed will also remove that quirk from Shigaraki's repertoire. They're also sentient, and some can even fight for control.
Which is when the second shoe finally dropped. Because Shigaraki also got All-for-One's vestige, that means All-for-One was now in possession of a shiny new body that he'd spent the last 15 years
body
molding for him
jacking.
to take
Great,
over.
love that.
Shigaraki's entire existence was planned from the beginning. Why? Because All Might's previous mentor was Nana Shimura, Tenko's grandmother.
Oh, that's a mess with All Might. That is some next level hating right there.
He manipulated Shigaraki's entire
I will say,
life,
like,
all
for my
one
contrivance,
purpose.
My Hero Academia is
Create a
epic.
soul so corrupted,
As basic as the story is, it knows how to push its like epicosity onto you.
One to take full control.
But All-for-One's possession wasn't complete, and Shiggy managed to fight his way back to the top, literally decaying his way through vestiges in the process, all to fight his rival Deku one last time.
Despite Izuku's best efforts to save him, Shigaraki was too far gone. His spirit decayed by years of venomous hatred.
And the new
Put
symbol
him down.
of hope defeated the new symbol of fear, burying All-for-One's grudge for good.
All that Shigaraki asked was to be remembered as the heartless destroyer he was raised to be, and not the broken, angry, crying little boy he really was deep inside.
And that's what I mean by how the villains in these stories are usually way more entertaining and interesting than the actual main characters.
Just that one moment, though.
I would love to watch an entire
Shigaraki
series
Deku,
about
the only thing he'd been
Shigaraki, honestly.
denied his whole life, the one thing his lifelong nihilistic tantrum was really all about.
In fact,
He gotta hear-
you know, like no word of a lie. You know the like interim series they had where they followed the villains around for an entire season? That was infinitely more interesting than watching anything to do with Deku. Brutal honesty.
Bro who tried to save him.
And
battle-
no matter how much you may find Deku boring, at the very least, in our minds, we know that we got the last laugh because Deku started working in McDonald's. The meme of Deku, have a plus ultra day.
Is sponsored by Robin Hood Gold.
With Robin Hood Gold, Gold slew his brother Abel and wetted his fields with his blood. Man's greatest fear has been his fellow man.
But what if this fear took on a life of its
God,
own?
I love this. Like, we have been getting some absolutely stunning anime in the last few years. Chainsaw Man. Like, My Hero Academia is good for the most part.
Being fueled by malice, which believes in
But
nothing
Jujutsu
the law
Kaisen,
of the
like Jujutsu Kaisen and Dandadan, strike that balance of weird, wild memes, complete unhinged nonsense, and just enough shonen fan service to make us go, yes, this is anime.
jungle.
Well, then you'd have the special grade cursed
Also
with the
boobs.
patch face, Mahito. Oh, I've had people tell me I've become...
Is he a man? Is he a woman? What do they identify as? They identify as should be on my lap.
a human disaster curse when I've had too many mojitos.
Mahito is one of the deadliest beings to ever afflict mankind. He's no mere mortal though, but a cursed spirit. Innumerable spirits exist, weaker or stronger depending on the amount of anxieties, jealousies, hatreds, and fears humans feel about them.
Like the fear of locusts, kinda weak. Or the fear of
lest we
smallpox,
forget.
getting stronger.
We are gonna get to the Jujutsu Kaisen season very soon that Hikari gets introduced in, and I'm looking forward to that considering how much I love the Jujutsu Kaisen Hikari meme.
Or the fear of fire. Oh, goodbye, Tokyo.
So it follows that mankind's fear of itself would be extremely powerful. Those negative emotions.
Dude, I love these kind of
manifest
villain
as
types that are just
Mahito,
more than
a
like,
being
I'm a villain because I'm a
composed
villain.
of cursed energy.
It's basically like evil ki. Cursed energy can be used to make spirits way stronger, faster, and tougher than any normal human.
my
And it's
man.
invisible.
My man! God, they did him dirty. You know, actually, fun story. I went to a Comic-Con recently, and there was a Jujutsu Kaisen meetup. You know, a good half of the people there were dressed up as the different characters from Jujutsu Kaisen, but literally about half of all the Jujutsu Kaisen cosplayers were dressed up as this guy.
Than any normal human, and it's invisible, making curses like Mahito impossible for the untrained eye to see. Only a life or death situation can galvanize a normal person to see a cursed spirit.
That also makes cursed spirits virtually immune to physical damage. They may be physically present in space, but can only be harmed by attacks that embody
Right,
spirit
Ocean?
matter like cursed energy.
Which makes curses insanely hard to get rid of, like ghosts, cockroaches, or my ex. That's why
Yo,
you need a
hey,
Jujutsu sorcerer
okay.
to come in and Kaizen the shit out of them.
Let's be fair, nothing's gonna get rid of me from your life, though.
I like the way I said it better.
Curses and sorcerers have battled each other for millennia, waging an endless war over the
Like,
fate
at the end of the day, I know,
humanity.
like, anime is very much a flavor of whatever you want to choose.
Exclusively in Japan, though, for
I
some
like
reason.
Jujutsu
But
Kaisen a bit more.
Mahito was special. You see, most
And here's the thing. We all know it. Jujutsu Kaisen is basically modern Naruto. It's Naruto, but better. Sorry, it's what... Like, you know when Naruto ended, but it didn't really, because they just made Baruto, and Baruto was just a new season of Naruto? This is basically that, but doubled up with a bit more, like, Kihu to it.
curses are basically dumb animals. But Mahito has so much cursed energy that it gave him sentience.
So he was recruited by Kenjaku alongside other special grade disaster curses to wreak havoc upon the world. In fact, they made Mahito their leader.
And even more frightening than intelligence and bloodlust, Mahito
Yeah, Blaster,
possessed
thank you for that follow.
philosophy.
Perhaps informed by the
Oh no.
tragic
Oh
meaninglessness.
no, the one thing more scary than raw power. Common sense. Intelligence? Ah! To combine together, they make a functional human being. Ah!
Of interhuman conflict, Mahito is an existential nihilist, believing in nothing but his own will to power. It's a dog-eat-dog world, and Mahito is the wolf.
Which also
Oh yeah,
makes
you
him
villains,
kind
you're
of a
cringe.
goofball.
Hi there. Hi. Yeah. You know, I didn't.
Which also makes him
Someone at this studio has a thing for feet. Nobody goes into that level of detail to make feet look like that without being into it. Those grippers, those those hooks. This is Elden Ring levels of foot fetish.
him kind of a goofball.
I didn't know
If
I was
nothing
into feet
matters,
until
why
today,
not
but
have
hey,
fun
here we
with
go.
the slaughter? Really get your steps in. He loves to dig around and toy with your emotions like a cartoon character before slitting your throat.
An appropriate analogy considering his curse technique, idle transfiguration.
Using his cursed energy, Mahito can control
Ew.
anyone's soul with just a touch, including his own. In fact, he's so good at manipulating his own soul that you can't even kill the bastard without directly targeting it.
In Jujutsu Kaisen, the soul and the body share an immutable connection.
I really have to try and
Whatever
finish
happens to
Jujutsu
the
Kaisen at
former
some point.
affects the latter.
This lets Mahito squash, stretch, and shape-shift his body.
God,
into
I
literally
love the
anything
concept
he
of, like, the
wants.
soul-
Like
the souls
Play-Doh.
as well.
He can turn his limbs into blades or clubs, grow wings like a bird or fins like a fish, reform his body around injuries, or even create clones.
Curse
You know,
users
I
are
know we were
naturally
talking a lot
unharmed by
about,
their
like,
ability.
animation
Should he
precedents
touch a
in,
human,
the
though,
Western animation
his
stuff recently.
alterations to their body are instantly fatal.
And since he's attacking
do love
your
how grim
soul,
anime
those
can be
physical
sometimes.
wounds are gonna be impossible to heal.
Oh, there's
Even
that
if
art
his
style.
alteration isn't directly fatal, the human body won't last more than
At least he'll never have to worry about not having friends, because I could just make some. Yo, with the power of AI and the soul manipulation, I can make all the friends I want, and they'll all love me forever. What do you mean they find me cringe? Oh, shit.
a few moments in a transfigured state.
Even the
Oh,
things
that
I
was
make,
one time.
even my slaves think I'm
The
cringe.
herpes was bad.
His powers mean Mahito treats humans as effectively disposable dolls that he can gleefully experiment on.
See what
The
I mean by body
casualties,
horror?
The better, especially if he gets to break your spirit first and
And that's why Dan to Dan kind of hits the top mark for me because, oh boy, what a god with that weenie! Fucking, you know what? You know what it is. I think for me especially, the animes that I tend to enjoy the most are the ones that don't take themselves seriously. My Hero Academia tries to be way too serious, but things like Dan to Dan, One Punch Man, the kind of animes that just blow common sense out the window, go completely absurdist, are so self-aware of their own bullshit, and the fan service. Not to mention the fan service. God damn. Dan to Dan, the epitome of making girls kiss because it's hot and giving us gilfs. Hell yeah! We love gilfs! We love gilfs! And girls kissing. Gilf girls kissing.
watch you suffer.
Even more twisted is when he combines two transfigured humans together for soul multiplicity, essentially a giant torrent of body horror flesh that he repels at an opponent. Ugh.
Mahito
That's not
is
terrifying in the
unbelievably
slightest.
creative with his application of idle transfiguration, and despite being a newborn curse, consistently keeps experienced sorcerers on the back foot.
It helps that he's a quick study who's picked up a number of different curse techniques.
God, I
like
love
the
that comic
Black
art style they
Flash.
put in
By
there.
applying cursed energy within 1 microsecond of an impact with an enemy, space itself will distort, exponentially amplifying its force by a factor of 2.5.
Not only does this hurt like a
I will say, that was always something I found very weird about Jujutsu Kaisen. It's all this stuff about, like, fantasy and magic, and yet they apply math to people's powers. Like, Hikari's ability to exponentially increase his luck. Like, have you ever, like, read Hikari's power? It's literally like game show philosophy, but it's built around numbers.
other. It restores your curse technique and gets you fully in the zone.
And would require reflexes moving nearly 1,000 times the speed of sound. It's no surprise then that Mahito also unlocked the pinnacle of sorcerer techniques. The
I want to say this
domain
fight is going to be quite
expansion.
close.
Oh shit! More hands! A domain is like a barrier of cursed
But I do
energy.
think Shinigami
If
will
you're
come out
caught
on this on
inside,
top. Sorry,
Mahito can
Shigaraki,
use
sorry.
idle Transfiguration instantly without even
Oh no,
needing to touch
the
you.
one thing
It's called
more
the
scary than
self-embodiment
common
of
sense and
perfection.
logic.
The
Math!
ultimate expression of Mahito's absolute
Actually, straight up, dude, I used to have the most funny math teacher back in the day. For those who don't know, my birth name was Bram. Like Bram Stoker, the person who made Dracula. And my math teacher used to make fun of this a lot. And there was a point where they knew that I was struggling with my math test that I was doing. So they snuck up behind me with two of the board pens and put them up in a crucifix like, "Begone, vile Dracula! Your math will be repented from you." And I was like, "You're funny."
control over his victim's body and soul. The
I
only
love my
time
math
it ever
teacher.
failed was against
He
the
knew I was a
student
lost cause,
sorcerer
but
and Mahito's
made it funny at
archenemy,
least.
Yuji Itadori.
Because not only was Yuji a barf-inducing goody little two-shoes who believed in the inalienable rights of all living things, blah, 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 he also had a curse inside of him.
The king of curses, Sukuna.
Which meant Mahito's
Suck on
ability
these nuts!
affected
Haha, am I
both
right?
souls in Yuji's body.
Yeah, no
Sukuna
one's ever made
didn't
that
like
joke before.
No
Suck on
surprise.
these
It
nuts!
kicked Mahito's
Suck on
ass,
these nuts!
Forcing Patchface to fight with a handicap whenever facing his pink-haired menace.
Yuji's belief in the
No worries, though, you
value
can have
of
a good
human
one.
life flew directly in the face of the world that Mahito knew
Later.
to be cruel and meaningless. So he made it his mission to crush Yuji's spirit before killing him, murdering his friends, defiling their corpses, and brutally battering him before going in for the kill.
And yet still wouldn't be enough of a Geneva Convention violation to make Chuckles the Clown bat an eyelid.
And he's got the strength to do it. Mahito's one of the most powerful curses in the world, and his growth is exponential.
Fellow disaster curse Jogo was able to summon a massive meteor capable of reducing the city of Shibuya to ash.
That'd take an energy of
Okay, so I haven't really watched this far. I guess this is like just the general problem with anime is that they don't know how to do things tactfully, so they always end up like scaling things up with power creep. I don't know, I just kind of prefer it when animes are a bit more level, like where it's about the kung fu rather than who can power themselves up the most. Just becomes a bit predictable at that point.
over 800 kilotons of TNT.
And Mahito can take as good as he can give, especially when, in the throes of struggle against Yuji, he evolved, unlocking a vastly more powerful form, the instant body of distorted killing.
Ew.
Complete with armored exoskeleton and arm blades, this was a taste of the almighty curse Mahito was growing into, a true blight on all mankind.
It wouldn't last.
He looks
In
better.
a bitter battle of resolve, Yuji won
Gotta
out.
stamp that
In
monster-
a dog
monster
eat dog
card.
world, there was now a bigger wolf.
So he tucked tail and ran away like a bitch. And what do you know?
Oh,
Life
okay, so
suddenly
that's an anime trope I friggin' cannot get behind. Why do they always let the villains away? It's such a trope of anime. Like Goku moment. Hey, give that bad guy a senzu bean.
became a whole lot more meaningful the second it looked like it was about to end.
All that gleeful nihilism, just a bitter hypocrisy in the end.
For him, maybe, but Mahito found a convert in his archenemy. After a battle that wiped out thousands of innocent people, Yuji's youthful spirit was gone. The only thing left that mattered was exorcising this curse.
In a way, that was Mahito's final victory, the destruction of another human being's soul. He may not have been around to see it, but the curse Mahito inflicted on the world would bring it to its knees.
Interesting.
Hey, do you see that join button? Yeah, that one.
Oh,
That's your
whoa,
ticket to
you
being
guys
a
should go
Death
give a
Battle
subscribe to
champion.
Death Battles
As
as
a
well if you haven't
champion,
already.
You get all sorts of exclusive. So
Skip.
thank you for being a champion.
All right, here we go. Let's throw down. I want to see it. Show me what
Alright,
you
the
got.
combatants are
I
set,
still
and we
think
run the
Shigaraki's
data
gonna
for
win.
All possibilities.
It's time for a death battle!
These are two very good animes, though. Oh, damn, they've got... Wow, dude, I keep... Wow, of all the times to pause. So no head? Grape juice. Oh, hello
I
there.
heard of a powerful villain stalking these parts. My organization
Oh my god,
is going to
so cool. I honestly adore the level of effort they put into these animations. We watched something called Gilded Guy recently, and I talked a lot about the principles of animation and seeing how like animation over the years has evolved. Like seeing this level of quality coming out of an indie studio just fills my heart with so much joy, knowing that fucking AI artwork will never steal the soul and passion that goes behind animation like this. And just as like a bit of an analytical thing, I just adore it when people use 3D environments and then use compositing to put 2D characters in them. It just makes so much more sense. It works so well, especially if you stylize the 3D environment enough, you can make it blend in seamlessly.
tear this putrid world down around us. We could use a freak of your talents.
Little old me. Do I want to be king of the social rejects? How about I bring them?
I cannot get over just the level of detail. This is like this would be on par with a lot of anime. I know it's like more stylized to be a bit more Western, but Just the level of detail. Look at the very
King of the
subtle
social
attention to detail in the
rejects.
face, the very
How
small
about I
movements of
bring
the
him
eyes.
your head?
Getting enough like animators to do to have the freedom to do micro expressions like that. Like when you have like, talk about power creep. This is animation power creep in a nutshell. Because it goes in certain levels, right? You start off by focusing on animation principles. And then when you have enough people working on a project, you can start working on making things look smoother. And when you've got enough finesse, when you've got enough skill and talent in your team, you can then start looking at these things like micro expressions about how eyes will move very slowly, little small flicks of lips and very small movements of body parts to emphasize emotion. And I love seeing that shit. It's literally animation porn for me.
Instead,
Fine by me. Let's call this your audition, Sickum.
Ooh, no moves. See, and it says, like, when you use these 3D environments as well, it adds to the pipeline, because if you're starting with a 3D, all you do is you map out the movements in the 3D space with the camera, and it allows you to plot out the movements with your 2D animation instead, after the fact, which allows for a lot more comprehensive and very, I want to say, like, well thought out scene build up, if you will. Oh! Nomu Blast!
Game over.
He's fine. He's just a little toasty.
did you actually just say that?
Cringe. Oh, dude, they did not. Okay. Okay, that was fucking good. Okay, wait a minute. Let me show you this. So that is a 3D model that they've used a sort of cell-shaded composited style over. It's a similar way that they do the Borderlands aesthetic, and that is fucking great. That is like a beautiful mix of a 2D style with 3D rendering.
God, how lame!
Kissy! Kissy, kissy! Mwah, mwah, mwah. Hey, you know what? Shigaraki may not want that smooch, but I'll happily take it.
Audition over.
Audition over. You are cringe! Oh no, invincible moment. Invincible moment.
Decay.
Ow! That's music though. Oh shit! Mahito's going crazy. Music's killer. I wonder if this is an OG song.
That all you got?
I think
Domain
Decay is gonna still win. Oh, domain expansion time. Domain expansion. Cringe incarnate.
I can read your soul. You're just a scared little boy whose daddy is mean and wants to make it everyone else's problem. Grow up.
The voice acting is so good as well.
Hands off my masterpiece.
Damn!
I felt your soul too. You only hate humanity because you were born that way. Totally random. I hate them for a reason.
I told you! I told you!
You.
I suppose that's how you get ahead in life. I told
What
you.
did I say?
I mean, I wasn't gonna. That didn't quite go the way I thought it would. Like, I wasn't expecting One for All to jump in there, but hey.
Hey, Wiz, like a bitch.
With their complex power sets, this match was a puzzle to figure out. which is why we're breaking it down to 3 categories: physical stats, survivability, and their powers.
But first, let's address one thing. Could Shigaraki even see Mahito? He's an invisible curse after all.
Cursed energy and quirks are notably different, and Shigaraki wouldn't be able to see curses normally. However, even regular humans can spontaneously develop the ability to see curses in life and death scenarios. And with the search quirk, Shigaraki would have had no problem tracking it.
So see,
Like how in a typical day, I can spontaneously develop the ability to see imminent trouble coming into my chat with people commenting on my lovelies, rather than, you know, being a functional human being.
Mahito wouldn't
Well,
have been an
ban
issue. With that out of the way, we can jump into their stats.
This was no contest. Despite the disaster curses being able to destroy entire cities with their cursed energy, Shigaraki scaling to Deku and Bakugo meant he was calculably millions of times stronger.
He was faster too.
What's the name of the
considering he
anime?
could react
It's
to light
My Hero
beams, while
Academia
Mahito's
and
Black
Jujutsu
Flash gets
Kaisen.
out at nearly 1,000 times the speed of sound. Nothing to scoff at, but Shiggy was thousands of times faster. Shigaraki takes stats.
But
This is what we call
survivability
power
was a little
creep.
trickier to figure out.
Yep, in terms of raw durability, Shigaraki was a lot tougher, and his ability to generate new flesh meant that he could heal any wounds he might receive super easy.
See, that was the
However,
only thing that I
Mahito
think
is
might
a
have made him
curse
win.
and is immune to the kind of overwhelming physical damage Shigaraki could dish out. Not only that, Mahito's regenerative ability via idle transfiguration meant that he'd come back from anything short of spiritual damage.
Considering Mahito's unique curse body, he should actually get the edge in survivability.
Which presents a crucial question. Could Shigaraki even kill a curse like Mahito in the first place?
Or would Mahito's unkillability give him the time
This
he
is
needed
such
to
an interesting
eventually
overlap.
put Shiggy
Damn.
down with idle transfiguration?
It all comes down to their powers.
Shigaraki had a lot more variety with all of the crazy.
There is only one reality warping creature in the universe that would ever be able to outweigh these guys. Deadpool. Can't be constrained by any of the logic of the universe when you have no logic of the universe.
Crazy quirks all for one had collected over all the years, but none that we know of could
Dude,
properly
Goku
kill
wouldn't
a
be able to
curse.
bat an
That
eyelid
didn't
against
mean Idle
Deadpool.
Transfiguration was a surefire bet either, though.
Of all things, Shigaraki's vestiges served as a spiritual shield from the effects of idle transfiguration. The fact that Mahito could not
Oh, the
avoid
mask,
targeting
yeah.
Sukuna
The mask,
while
yeah.
attacking Yuji meant that he couldn't target specific souls inside a person.
And Shiggy has hundreds of soul-like entities inside of him. Sure, each one down means he loses a quirk, but that's more than enough time to land a single hit with Decay, especially considering how much faster Shiggy...
You came into my mind palace. Well, this is my realm, my world, and in here you deal with my cringe. And inside of me, there are multiple main protagonist syndrome characters.
is.
And Mahito has no way to defend against Shigaraki's primary quirk. Decay has affected spiritual beings in the past. Again, vestiges. In fact, he was able to damage Deku's vestige and have that damage transferred to the Deku in the real world.
Mahito may be made of spirit energy, but he still has a physical form. In fact, sorcerers that couldn't naturally target the soul were able to fight him on even footing. No reason to think Shiggy wouldn't decay him like everyone else.
Giving Shigaraki the third and final edge.
See, that's
It was
what I
a
thought.
unique duel to the death, but Shigaraki's overwhelming might, unstoppable powers, and deadly decay.
So
spelled
what
the
we're
end
saying
for
is
the
that he's
disaster
a dude with
curse.
cheat
Nothing
mode
else
on.
to say. You really gotta hand it to Shigaraki.
Oh,
The winner
fuck
is
off!
Tomura
Okay,
Shigaraki.
right. Okay,
Next time
yeah.
on
Bottom of the
Death
barrel
Battle.
joke. Love it. Cool. Amazing. Right. That's great. That's great. What a fantastic way to, I guess we're really standing on the palm of victory on this one. The digits of jokes. The fingernails of anyway, guys, this was a great video. I like this. I'm glad that my boy Shigaraki won, and I can't wait to convince them to fall in love with me. So I'll catch you guys later. Have a great day. Enjoy join my Twitch and all that. Bye.